and you to match the pace of God. God said, not only am I bringing you out, but I'm going to cause you to come into a place where I'm dealing with the very things that's threatening you, the very things, the generational curses over your family, the very things that have you stuck in poverty, have you stuck in your mind, have you stuck not being able to come to another place of wholeness. God said, I'm dealing with the threat that's been attacking your life, the very problem that you've been having, and you're like, God, every time I try to figure it out, every time I try to fix it, I just can't fix it. So God, what do I do with this? I said, when I bring you the word, and I tell you that you're going to live and not die, I said, I'm going to deal with the very enemy that's threatening you. So now, after Hezekiah gets the word that he's going to live, Hezekiah says, I need proof. I need a sign. So Hezekiah tells the prophet, he says, listen, if God is going to do what he said, I need you to tell him to give me a sign. And that sign that Hezekiah asks for, he tells the prophet Isaiah, he says, listen, I want you to tell God to make the shadow go down 10 degrees. He said, but I think that's easy, because at a certain time of the day, it gets dark, right? So he said, no, that's too easy. Not only do I want the sun to go down, the shadow to go down, but I want God to raise it back up 10 degrees. God said, listen, when I speak another word over your life, the very thing that you've been dealing with, God said, when I come to bring you into new life, when I come to make you whole, God said, I am adding time to your life. There are many that are saying, God, I wasted too much time. There are many of you saying, God, I've been going around circles and I don't know how to end this cycle that I'm in. There are many of you that are at that point where you're like, God, I've wasted too much time. But God said, listen, when I add time to your life, I make it better. I bring you to a place of wholeness that you're able to maximize the very gifts and the talents and the abilities that God gave you. God said, I'm not just going to give you time and you feel like you're going to waste the time. God said, no, I'm going to give you the wisdom to maximize what God placed inside of you. That's why when Hezekiah said, listen, I've walked before you, God said, listen, I am bringing you into a point where you are so disciplined in the spirit, where you condition your mind. Because many times we come to church and we hear positive words and we hear motivation and we feel the presence of God, but then we go back home and we deal with those same demons and we find ourselves, even when we find ourselves and we have our focus, right? It doesn't last long. And I said, God, how do we break this pattern? How do we come to a place where our focus is consistent? How do we come to a place where our vision is clear? He said, there is a conditioning that comes to your mind. He said, when I said transform your mind, be renewed in your mind, God said, listen, it takes you making a decision that says, okay, if this is the trigger that happens in my life, if this is what causes me to fall, I'm going to take the necessary precautions to change that thought until I have practiced that pattern enough times daily. That's when God says you are strengthening your spirit, man. You have got to die to the flesh. That's how when God restores you, when he speaks another word over your life, he says, I'm bringing you into a better state. Now, after Hezekiah tells the prophet Isaiah, listen, I need a sign. The Bible says that Isaiah goes to God and starts petitioning and crying out to God for God to give Hezekiah a sign. And I said, God, what's the significance of that? He said, listen, the very things in your life that have brought you bad news, the very things in your life that have caused you to be stuck, God said, I'm going to use those exact things to bring you into a place of wholeness, to bring you into a place where those things are working for you and not against you, to bring you to a place where the very enemies that you see today, you will see no more Now, after Isaiah does that, right? The Bible says that God answers and does the thing that Isaiah prayed for Hezekiah. Now, I said, now God, he got 2 words, right? The first word that he got was of death.
That's right.
The second word was of life.
Yes.
I said, well, God, what happened between the first prophecy and the second prophecy?
All right.
God said, you've been trying to figure out what's been going on this year, where it's almost like nothing is the same. God said, I was taking you through a process of killing everything inside of you that didn't look like me. I was killing everything inside of you that would have caused you to respond in pride. When Hezekiah turned his face to the wall, that was a place of humility. That was a place of brokenness. God said, I am bringing you into a place. The Bible says that he gives more grace to the humble. God said, you've been wondering what's been going on this year. God said, I've just been killing the very things in your